From Bright House Sports Network, this is Toyota's Sports Connection. Here's your host, Roxanne Wilder.
Rays and Yankees come into tonight's action having split the first two games. The Rays win courtesy of Scott Kazmir's stellar outing last night amidst all the trade rumors blowing through Tropicana Field. The last time Matt Garza took the hill for Tampa Bay, it was against Roy Halladay amidst similar circumstances, and he had perhaps his best outing of the year. Tonight it's Garza and Jabba Chamberlain. How would it turn out? Orlando Magic center Dwight Howard at the Trop throwing out the first pitch. It looks kind of like his free throws in the NBA Finals. Just kidding, Dwight. We love you. I even follow you on Twitter. And, dude, you are always hungry. What's up with that, Superman? Meanwhile, Dwight, not the only celebrity on hand. The Geico Caveman wins the Ultimate Fan of the Game award and is not happy, hopping the fence and attacking the Geico sign. And if you're wondering why we are taking so long to get to the highlights, there were not many if you're a Rays fan. That's why. Yankees already up 2-0 in the sixth when Robinson Cano jumps on that offering from Matt Garza. You can tell by Matt's reaction where this one is headed, high and deep and gone to right field. The solo shot is the 16th of the season for Cano. Meanwhile, Jabba Chamberlain is dealing tonight. Longoria can't connect on the slider to end the sixth inning. Chamberlain handcuffing the Rays to just 2 singles. Then to start at the seventh, this time he freezes Ben Zobrist, painting the corner for the K. 5 strikeouts in 8 scoreless innings for Jabba. Yankees continue to attack on the runs. Jorge Posada drives one past a diving Zobrist into center field. Cody Ransom is on his way to the plate. The RBI single makes it 4-0 New York. But of course, these are the Bronx Bombers. Bomb they do. Melky Cabrera takes Dan Wheeler out in the ninth. Just sneaking it inside the foul pole. The solo shot makes it 5-0 New York. And it's Mark Teixeira taking Wheeler to the deepest part of the park. B.J. Upton can run and run and run, but he runs out of room on this one. The 26th of the year for Teixeira. Yankees out to a 6-0 lead. Rays finally do get one highlight. Longoria hits his 21st homer of the season with a man on in the ninth, but the 2-run blast is not enough. The Rays drop this one 6-2, and we are joined now by our Drew Felios, has been working hard all afternoon and evening. And Drew, I know you know a little something about Jabba Chamberlain, being is that you covered him in Nebraska. Is that right?
Yeah, I did, and it's amazing when you look at the type of pitcher he has become, Roxanne. I know he's number 3 right now on the Yankee staff, but tonight he pitched like the ace.
Well, Rays fans who had dreamed about plugging Cliff Lee into the top of the rotation will have to turn their thoughts elsewhere. The 2008 Cy Young winner is no longer available. The Indians today deal Lee to the Phillies along with outfielder Ben Francisco in return for 4 prospects. The Rays had reportedly been in talks with Cleveland involving Lee and catcher Victor Martinez, and the Lee trade has some baseball insiders speculating that Martinez will also be dealt before the deadline. One of the prospects that Indians acquired from Philadelphia is catcher Lou Marson. He's believed to be the heir apparent to Martinez in Cleveland. The 30-year-old Lee, meanwhile, becomes the 6th Cy Young winner to be traded the season immediately following winning the award. The most recent example was another Indian, CC Sabathia, who was traded last season to the Brewers at midseason. Lee has been having another solid year for Cleveland with a 3.14 ERA and only 33 walks in 152 innings. As for Francisco, meanwhile, somewhere down in Durham, Andy Sonnenstein must be breathing a sigh of relief that he's been traded out of the American League. Francisco is 8 for 9 lifetime against Sonny with 5 home runs and 12 RBI, including one stretch of 4 consecutive at-bats with a home run against Sonnenstein. Meanwhile, with the Phillies dealing for Lee, that removes one more potential trade partner from the Roy Halladay sweepstakes. But it's beginning to look more and more like the 6-time All-Star and 2003 Cy Young winner will be staying put north of the border. A source familiar with the trade talks tells ESPN's Buster Olney that all is quiet on the Halladay front. The Rays are one of several teams that have been exchanging names with the Blue Jays in an effort to pry Halladay loose, but Toronto's demands have been exceedingly high. Part of the reason Philadelphia opted for Lee instead. Blue Jays GM J.P. Ricciardi told ESPN's Peter Gammons that the team would have to be wowed, adding that they have not, in fact, been wowed by any offers to this point. The trade deadline is this Friday. We will keep you posted on that. Moving on to football. What a disappointment last season when Cadillac Williams, having a career day against Oakland, was tackled by a Raider cornerback and came down tearing his patellar tendon in his left knee. He'd already lost a full season because of his first knee injury, but good news for Caddy, he is expected to participate in Bucs camp. According to the St. Petersburg Times, Williams should be cleared to play. He still will have to pass an entrance physical at $1 on Friday. Depending on that evaluation, the running back may or may not be put on the physically unable to perform list. And if he is put on the PUP list, he could then be taken off that at any point during camp. Here's something else to look for in 2009, along with Cadillac's return: the return of the red, white, and creamsicle colored jerseys. At least for one game, you'll see them. On Friday, the Bucs will hold a press conference unveiling the 1976 throwback uniforms that will be worn against the Green Bay Packers on November 8th. It's also been reported that this game will be the one where Hall of Fame Buccaneer Leroy Selman will be inducted as the first player into the team's Ring of Honor. We at Bright House Sports Network are getting ready for camp as well. Ready to bring you the best Bucs coverage. We are going to be live from Raymond James Saturday, August 1st at 11 o'clock p.m. We'll have live reports Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 on the lineup. And we'll be live from One Buck Place at 11 p.m. on the Toyota Sports Connection for the entire first week of camp. Welcome back, everybody, to the Toyota Sports Connection. I'm Roxanne Wilder with you, and joining us in the Sports Den is an absolutely fascinating guest, a man who's basically lived two career lives, and both of those stories could make for Hollywood movies. Bob Delaney is currently a highly respected NBA referee, has been for 20 years, but his former life's work was as a New Jersey state trooper, and he worked with the FBI, where he went undercover gathering information to help convict more than 30 organized crime figures. He recently wrote a book with Dave Schreiber of the St. Petersburg Times called Covert. This is a fascinating book, Bob. Welcome to the show. And the title, right off the bat, you think it's about your covert operation, but this was your undercover name.
Yeah, Roxanne. My name was Bobby Covert, and we weren't trying to be cute or funny. It was actually a person who died at birth, and I took on his identity. His name was Robert Allen Covert. So that way I had the first name being the same as my name, ethnic sounding last name, and age grouping being the same, but also that there was a birth certificate in place that if the bad guys were going to check me out, that it would show up that I was truly a person.
So you come from a law enforcement family, so you have the background. You're a New Jersey state trooper. You get the opportunity to take this assignment on, but this is like you have to become an actor, essentially. You have to create this character. I mean, how did you start to become this person?
Yeah, when the investigation started, they told me it was going to be for 6 months. And very quickly we realized that 6 months was not going to be what we were going to be able to accomplish. We wanted to infiltrate organized crime. And during those first 6 months, we just learned the way of the wise guy. It was a process that took place. So I had to develop that personality. We got lucky in the investigation. Every cop will tell you that you get lucky at some point. A guy by the name of Pat Kelly was a consigliere with the DiNorgio crew, the Bruno crime family, and he was jammed up. He was either going to go to jail or become an informant. He chose to become an informant, came to work with us, and we started a larger trucking company called Alamo Transportation. When we started that larger trucking company, I became the president, Pat became the vice president. He schooled me in the ways of a wise guy. He's the one that actually taught me how to become Bobby Covert.
Bob, when you have this as your profession and you become friends with these people that you're trying to essentially bust, I mean, the lines almost become blurry in terms of maybe right and wrong, but just how you feel about the situation you're in. How did that affect your life and you psychologically? Yeah,
I thought the greatest day of my life was going to be after close to 3 years of working undercover that we're going to lock these guys up. And on the day of the raid, I was in the area where they were being processed. And I was with another state trooper, a guy by the name of Barry Lardier, and this was going to be the first time that I was going to see the people that I had arrested. So I probably put my hands behind my back in a military pose, a parade rest, and put my chest out, trying to be a little bit more bravado in my first encounter with them. And Barry Lardier was walking me down into that area, and a guy by the name of Ronnie Sardella was being fingerprinted. And Ronnie looked at me and he said, "Bobby, what'd they pinch you for?" Thinking that I was handcuffed. I dropped my hands. Before I could answer him, Barry Lardier said to him, "He's with us, he's a state trooper." The look that went between Ronnie Sardella and myself was not one of anger, it was one of disappointment. He said, "Bobby, how could you do this to us? How could you do it to me? I'm your friend." I could probably tell you what everybody had on their feet the rest of the day because I couldn't pick my head up. It felt terrible. We're all socialized not to tell on our friends, and yet we ask undercover people to become friends with people and then tell on them, arrest them. So it takes a psychological effect. There was an emotional roller coaster ride that I went through after surfacing from doing the undercover work.
I want to talk about that roller coaster ride, but just one other quick question. Looking at some of the maybe skills that you developed while you were undercover, just having to make decisions to save your life, essentially, like split decisions. What kinds of things did you learn that have helped you in life and even your second career now?
Well, probably what's helped me in the NBA career is being able to evaluate situations very quickly and make decisions quickly and be quick on your feet and evaluate, as I said. So that probably has helped me in my basketball career.
Okay, but dealing, like you said, after you got out of, you were no longer a state trooper, and the feelings that you had and the things that you went through after that. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the emotional roller coaster ride that I talk about, I've been doing work with law enforcement for the past 30 years, speaking with police officers and agents from the United States, Europe, Asia, Canada. Police officers like to think of themselves as leaping tall buildings in a single bound. We can handle anything. Yet when you go through doing an undercover job, or as a uniformed police officer, you see the terrible things that happen in criminal acts. It takes a toll on you. And for some reason, we in our society have this stigma about mental or emotional problems. If we see a physical injury, we're fine. But once we think that somebody has an emotional or mental problem, then we have this stigma that goes with it. What I believe is that we need to talk about it. What I learned over probably about a 10-year period, that the more that I spoke about what I experienced in my undercover capacity, that it helped me as a person. I went through some difficult times. You know, people would come to my house and they would think that I liked a lot of art because there were different pictures on the wall all the time. Well, I was really putting my fist through the wall and covering it with art. So, you know, it comes out some way, somehow. I've used in the presentations that I do, if I had a balloon in front of us here and it was full of air, there were only 3 ways I can get the air out of the balloon. I let it go and it goes all over the room. We have no control of it. We have no idea where it ends up. Or I can take a pin, pop that balloon and get the air out. But then we don't have a balloon to use anymore. The other way is to turn it upside down, let a little bit of air out at a time, and it takes time and there's patience and you hear that awful sound. But at the end, we have a full balloon that we can use again the next day. That's the analogy that I draw when speaking to soldiers and to police officers, because we've got to get it out. Somehow, some way, we're all carrying stuff. And the stuff that soldiers see, the stuff that police officers see, firemen, those are traumatic experiences. They need to talk about it and help them through the situation so that their lives are whole.
And recently in your trip to Iraq, your opportunity to talk with the troops, what kind of reaction did you get when you told them your story?
Yeah, it was interesting because in speaking with the soldiers, I would share the story. We started out talking about the NBA, and then we talk about the Covert book, and then I start talking about my own post-traumatic stress disorder and going through it, and my road to the NBA as an inner peace. And what I always share with people is find something that gives you an inner peace. Find your passion, because when you're going through tough times, I don't care if it's quilting or photography. For me, it was basketball, but find that inner peace. When I told those stories, and when we were in Iraq, half the night we were staying up talking with soldiers, and they would tell me their own stories of what they were experiencing in combat and how it's playing on their heads. So we were making inroads to be able to say, you know what? You're going through the same kind of stuff I went through, and the way to get through it is by talking about it and having someone to speak with them. I'm not a big believer that they need psychiatrists and psychologists. I'm not saying that that's not needed at some point, but the reality is if you talk to people that have been through similar situations as yourself, that you will have someone that understands what you're speaking about and be able to help you through it.
Your message comes through loud and clear in your book, and I'm curious how you decided with Dave Schreiber to go ahead and write this book. How did that come about?
Yeah, I've been asked to write a story about my experience since 1978. I've been approached by quite a few different publishers and authors. I did a piece in 2006 with Dave Schreiber, and once I did that work with him, I knew if I was going to ever write a book, it was going to be with Dave Schreiber, because he gets it. He's a tremendous talent, but also my wife Billy says it best. He tells my story, not his version of it. And you know, I'm from New Jersey, so I don't speak correct English. And Dave had to put away some of his great training that he got at American University and really capture my voice, and he did that.
What kinds of things did you have to concern yourself with while you were writing the book in terms of, you know, not putting yourself in danger or other people who you had worked with?
Yeah, concerns for other people more than myself, and I'm not trying to be bravado. I've testified against the criminals, so they know who I am. I don't look at myself as any different than any other police officer. What I've said to folks in talking and asking me about that, I've been living, my personal security level has been under orange since 1978. You all have been living that since 2001, 9/11. When I go through by daily activities, I have an awareness. But also I realize that if we don't go in a public place and we don't get on a plane tomorrow, that Osama bin Laden wins. If I did not go about and lead my life, the bad guys would have won, the mob guys would have won. So that was never an option for me. Going about and leading my life and pursuing my goals is what I was going to do. And it just happened that the NBA became one of them.
So when you were over in Iraq and you're talking and you're hearing their stories, does that bring back memories for you? Same, the purpose that you have, like you said, to fight crime and to let the good guys win. I mean, do all those memories and emotions come up to the surface?
It does come back. It came back when we wrote the book. Some of those experiences do resurface, and that's a learning experience for me, and that I can share with others. Is that it never fully goes away. There's always a piece of it there, but learning how to deal with it is the process that we want to get to.
I was also curious, how does the NBA security help you with your personal security? How does that help you?
Well, if I tell my story about my security, then everybody knows it. So, but I have strong ties to law enforcement to this day. I still involved with the New Jersey State Police at a high level.
So you are a very respected NBA referee, and I know you've dealt with guys like Shaquille O'Neal and on a personal level as well. What is their reaction when they find out about the book and know about your other work?
Yeah, when I got into the league, there were not many stories told about my previous life. Darryl Garrettson, who was the supervisor official at that time, had a great plan, and he didn't share the plan with me till later, but he knew that he wanted me to develop my reputation as a referee, not as the ex-cop, not as the ex-state trooper who went undercover. But years later, when the story was told, and it was told in a variety of media outlets, the players became more aware of it. And Shaquille O'Neal came up to me before a game one time and said, "I know you know Louis Freeh." Louis Freeh was the director of the FBI at the time, and I had worked with Lou as a special agent. And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Tell him I want to get a job as an FBI agent." I said, "You'd be tremendous on surveillance. Nobody'd ever notice you." Kobe Bryant came up to me one time, and I was watching the tape afterwards, which we do after every game. We watch the videotape to see if we made good calls, bad calls, what's the reason. And the announcer, Mike Breen, was saying that Kobe Bryant is giving me an earful after I called a foul on him. In reality, Kobe was standing next to me and said, "What was that like wearing a wire? That must have been wild." So there's an intrigue by the players. Shane Battier decided that this year he's going to give me my own mob name, and he calls me Bobby Whistles now. So the players have a sense of humor when it comes to my past.
Well, Bob, your life's work is affecting people in all areas of life in such a positive way. We love the book. Viewers at home need to get it. It's Covert. And it's wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Roxanne.